Britain has an epic history, but within it there's a wealth of untold secrets still to uncover.
It's a really key find of the week.
So every year, hundreds of archaeologists set out, hunting for clues to solve the mystery of who we are and where we've come from.
Just found this amazing pendant.
Over the past year, their discoveries have been more exciting than ever. This series will explore the best of them.
Just found a coin. Oh, marvellous.
Brought to you from the field in a very special way. Each excavation has been filmed for us as it happened by the archaeologists themselves.
It looks absolutely fantastic.
But he had a bad day when he never brought these back.
Their dig diaries mean that we can be there for every crucial moment of discovery.
Do we have a winner?
No, I think it's stunning.
Incredible.
Our archaeologists will be joining us here in our special lab to take a closer look at their finds and to figure out what they really mean. This is so exciting. Welcome to Digging for Britain. This time we're exploring dramatic discoveries from the west of Britain. We'll reveal how the invaders and outsiders of the past have shaped our world and give tantalising insights into the spiritual beliefs of our ancestors. We'll explore evidence of foreign pilgrims and strange rituals around Stonehenge.
It's an immediate link to the people that lived here.
A lost British city rediscovered after 700 years.
At least 100 buildings going up in flames all at once.
And the warrior invaders we now know were more than just legend. These discoveries are rewriting our history. To find out how, archaeologist Matt Williams and I have been given special access to Salisbury Museum. Its unique collection spans nearly 500,000 years of life on this island.
So these are all Anglo-Saxon grave goods.
This is absolutely beautiful.
This is the Warminster Jewel.
And we're going behind the scenes to the back rooms ordinary visitors don't get to see.
That is enormous. That is a shin bone or a tibia.
Less than 10 miles from Salisbury Museum is Stonehenge. 4,000 years ago, the spiritual beacon of Britain and Europe. Today, an enduring mystery that leaves us asking, who came to this vast monument and what did they do here? The answers may lie buried in the hills and valleys that surround Stonehenge.
Archaeologists have been interested in the landscape around Stonehenge for some 300 years, but now new technology has revealed hidden details in the landscape that haven't been seen before.
We've discovered Stonehenge didn't stand alone. It was one of a network of sacred monuments along the River Avon in Wiltshire, many of which have lain hidden for thousands of years. Since they've been identified, archaeologists have wondered what clues they might conceal.
At the end of the day, though, the only way to understand how all these monuments link together is to excavate them. And that's what a team from the University of Reading is doing.
They're digging just 10 miles from Stonehenge, at Mardenhenge. A henge is a circular bank of earth, which we can still make out at Marden. Archaeologist Jim Leary is digging here, hunting for clues to explain the rituals our ancestors practiced in this landscape 4,000 years ago. 12 days into the dig, his team strikes it lucky. They've found the outline of a building right inside the henge.
Okay, rolling.
Okay, well, this is a very, very exciting moment because we have just uncovered our Neolithic building. You can see the edges of the chalk floor very clearly on this side. Some features showing up in the ground that have yet to be excavated. So what goodies await us underneath this section here?
The team's next job is to look for evidence of what kind of building it was. And on day 16, they make an intriguing discovery just outside its walls.
Here we have the remains of an external fire. This was a big bonfire and it was all emanating from one place, and it's created this huge spread of charcoal and ash and burnt stone.
The presence of burnt stone is puzzling. They're pieces of sarsen stone, a type of local rock, and clearly scorched. But it's not clear why anyone would put rocks on a fire. Then inside the building, they find a second hearth.
So one of the really key elements of the building is the huge hearth right in the middle. This is where there was significant amount of burning, so much so that it's discoloured the chalk into an orangey hue. But interestingly, there's no charcoal at all. I don't believe that this is an open flame fire.
Wood-burning fires produce charcoal, but there's no trace of any in this inner hearth. So if it wasn't a fire, what was the source of the heat that discoloured the ground inside the building?
So we have a little bit of a conundrum, but I think the key is the burnt sarsen stone that we're getting in the charcoal spread outside the building.
Jim has an extraordinary theory that these mysterious twin hearths reveal a ritual practised by our ancestors in the Stonehenge landscape.
I think what's happening are people are heating up the sarsen stones in the external fire, and that's the fire that we know is this open flame bonfire. And then I think they're picking up the hot stones, probably with 2 pieces of wood, and then they're carrying them into the building, and they're putting them in the central hearth and piling up these hot rocks. And then I think people are using the ledge around the edge to sit down, close the door, pour water on these hot rocks and create a sauna. And I think this building was being used as a sweat lodge.
It's an intriguing idea, and Jim has brought his finds into our lab so we can explore it further.
It's a really interesting site, Jim, and it's quite a persuasive hypothesis I think you've come up with.
Well, I think so. I mean, it might not be the answer, but it's the best solution that we can think of at the moment.
And we've got some of the sarsen stones here, Jim. These are the burnt stones, are they?
Yeah, so we're finding burnt stone within the external bonfire, the outside fire. And here we have some of those fragments, and they've been clearly heated up. They've changed to a sort of pinkish hue, fire cracked and broken.
So you've got the hearth outside where you're finding these burnt stones, the burnt area inside. Burnt stones don't make a sauna. What else have you found?
So the building itself is very well made. The surface is well prepared. There's a nice ledge around it, which just seems appropriate. The internal fire place, the internal hearth, is huge. I mean, it's utterly dominant, and I just cannot envisage other things going on inside this building. You wouldn't have room to live. So we need to focus on that hearth. That's our clue. That's our way into understanding the building.
Jim, a prehistoric sweat lodge, I mean, is there any precedence for that kind of thing?
It's not a crazy idea. And of course, if you look in the ethnographic record, it's replete with examples of sweat lodges. It's a fantastic way of purifying the body, of cleansing the self.
And although we'll never really know how it was used, if indeed it was a sweat lodge, it's very tempting to ascribe some kind of ritual, ceremonial purpose to it when it's in this landscape so close to Stonehenge.
That's right. We're in a landscape surrounded by temples. Stonehenge is a temple, Marden's a temple, Wilsford is a temple, Avebury, Silbury Hill, these are all ceremonial monuments.
This sweat lodge is brand new evidence of an intriguing ritual that may have taken place near Stonehenge. But who were these people, and where did they come from? Jim's team starts another dig at another henge, this one less than 3 miles away at Wilsford. And from day one, trench supervisor Rose is feeling confident she knows exactly where to look for clues. She's learnt from previous digs that the entranceways to henges can be the site of major discoveries. So that's where she puts her first trench.
So in this terminus we hope to find the majority of finds. Normally you find very precious finds there because that's where they've dumped like ceremonial objects or whatnot. That's normally where all the good finds are found. So we're going to do a big slot in the end and hopefully we're going to find some wonderful things.
Just 3 weeks later, Rose is proved right when she makes a discovery more exciting than even she could have hoped for. A Neolithic burial. She calls Jim to come and see for himself.
It's stunning. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely.
By the hands and yeah, I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Incredible.
Finding human remains within a henge is exceptionally rare. An incredibly powerful link to our ancestors.
So obviously what we have here is a crouched inhumation. Okay. This individual's lying on their right-hand side, legs pulled up, arms crossed over, basically a fetal position. And it's extraordinarily evocative. I mean, it reminds us that these monuments were constructed by and for real people. This was a real individual. They lived and they died. It just brings it really all to life when you see something like this. This person has been tenderly and carefully placed within the ditch. You know, so it's got some, it's really, really important and really, you know, just such a lovely discovery, just this immediate link to the people that lived here.
Jim knows a burial like this could tell us who worshipped in the sacred landscape around Stonehenge. And as Rose carefully excavates the skeleton, she finds an important but fragile clue.
So we have exposed and removed the rest of the body, and we're now left with the top 3 cervical vertebrae and the skull, and a tiny piece of the scapula left. What we're going to do is we're going to try and block lift it. The reason is because we have these tiny little amber beads coming up that are really fragile and they look quite crushed. So in order to keep all of that together, we're going to try and block lift it, wrap it in bandages and send it off to a specialist to be excavated properly.
Jim has brought the preserved bones back to our lab. As an osteologist myself, I'm thrilled to see this evidence. The fact this person was buried in the entrance to a henge shows they must have been significant. Now I want to know what else the skeleton can tell us.
We can see that his bones haven't quite fused fully, so he's still in the process of growing. You can see that the top of the humerus there is separate from the shaft, so we can get quite a good age in terms of his biological age. He's in his mid-teens, you know, around 15. How old is he in terms of his chronological age?
We'll be looking at somewhere between 2400 BC and 1800, roughly speaking.
The fragments of an earthenware cup in his grave show that this boy was one of the Beaker people who may have come from the continent to settle in the landscape around Stonehenge 4,000 years ago. They were dazzling craftsmen, and Beaker burials often include valuable jewellery. This boy's grave was no different.
The only proper grave good from his grave was a beautiful amber necklace.
So this is them here, this degraded
That's
amber.
right, you can see the sort of orange amber coming through there.
Amber that might even have come from the Baltic, possibly.
Well, quite possibly, yeah.
It's a clue showing how Stonehenge and this network of sacred monuments drew pilgrims from across Europe.
The amber necklace, the way it's buried, very, very different to what went before. This is what you would expect from a Beaker burial. This is a new cultural group of people. Very different to what went before, which seems to be quite an insular culture. All of a sudden, we're getting very much an outward-looking group of people.
When they arrived here, the Beaker people transformed Britain with new skills and technology. To understand them better, Matt's examining Salisbury Museum's star exhibit, another extraordinary Beaker burial known as the Amesbury Archer. He was discovered close to Stonehenge itself, and he was buried with an array of fine metalwork, like these golden hair wraps.
Well, he was also buried with some of the earliest copper objects that have been found in Britain. We have 3 copper knives and daggers found in the grave, and here is one of the daggers here.
The Beaker people transformed Britain by introducing metal. And these fine metal objects suggest that the Amesbury archer himself may have been a gifted metalworker, a skill completely unheard of in Britain until the arrival of the Beaker people.
And so this is just on the cusp of the Neolithic Bronze Age, so metalwork is just being introduced.
Well, that's right. It's a new technology that's just coming into this country at the time. So it is incredibly rare, and you have to imagine that when this was new, it would have been golden in colour, it would have gleamed, it would have been a very impressive, although very small, object. So this would have marked out the Amesbury archer as somebody important, owning really unusual objects like this.
So if he was just a visitor, do we know where he was coming from?
Well, that's the interesting point, is that we've done oxygen isotope analysis of his teeth, and we've been able to work out where he grew up, and we've discovered that he probably grew up in Central Europe, possibly in the Alps region. He's a foreigner, effectively, coming to this area, perhaps spreading this new information about metalworking.
This immigrant to Britain had travelled across the continent to get here. Stonehenge may have been the reason why.
Stonehenge at the time, when he was alive, about sort of 2,500 BC, was a temple. And many people would have been visiting this area to perform ceremonies and visit ceremonies taking place there. Perhaps he wanted to meet those people, perhaps he wanted to share this almost magical understanding he had of metalworking technology with these people.
So he's come hundreds of miles with this incredible new technology which must have astounded the locals or the people visiting Stonehenge. It's no wonder he was given such an incredible burial.
That's right, buried with over 100 objects is absolutely exceptional for this period.
Together with the Amesbury archer, the new discovery of the Marden boy shows us more clearly than ever how the power of Stonehenge pulled in pilgrims from across Europe. 4,000 years ago, in this ritual landscape, people were purifying their bodies, visiting the temples and burying their dead. And the incomers from Europe brought metalworking technology to Britain, propelling us out of the Stone Age and into the Bronze Age. At Winterbourne Kingston in Dorset, a team from Bournemouth University has also been investigating evidence of religious rituals, this time from the Iron Age, around 2,000 years ago. What they've unearthed is eye-opening and very strange.
They've discovered extraordinary new evidence, bizarre animal burials pointing to very odd beliefs and rituals, and they had their cameras rolling right from the start.
A geophysical survey of the area had revealed an array of dark markings in the landscape. As the team excavated these, they uncovered the remains of a settlement over 2,000 years old, which included a number of massive storage pits.
Okay, well, I'm in the base of one of these cylindrical Iron Age storage pits. You can see it's fantastic, well cut, nice flat bottom base to it. We've got absolutely no idea what they were storing in these originally, although we presume it to be grain, that there's some kind of grain silo for storing grain over winter.
The grain pits are vivid evidence of a thriving Iron Age settlement. Then, at the beginning of week 4 of the excavation, they find something very unusual.
Where Alicia, Zach and Emily are excavating here, we've got what appears to be the remains of 3 sets of pigs.
Very strangely, the pigs have not been butchered. They have been placed in the pits whole.
This is a real dramatic wastage of animals. These are good, viable animals, good lot of meat on them, but they've been deliberately killed and placed in these pits.
But if the animals weren't killed to be eaten, then what is going on?
Now, we presume they've been sacrificed as a deliberate kill, but these are offerings for some kind of god of the underworld, for some kind of god probably to assume the continual protection of the herd or the community.
But this possible evidence of sacrifice is just the beginning. In week 5, the team discovers even stranger practices.
Yeah, we've got a front leg, that other front leg, yeah, and there's a bit of humerus here as well.
It's the remains of a sheep but it has a cow's head placed on its hind quarters.
So it's kind of like this.
The discovery is unprecedented. By day 22, the team has discovered even more burials of these strange, man-made beasts. Nothing quite like this has ever been discovered in Britain.
Right at the very bottom of the pit, we're getting a whole series of specially placed deposits. And what we can see in this particular example, we've got part of a horse's leg here, partially articulated, and a cow's rib. And what we're finding in a number of these pits is there's a sort of almost like a hybrid animal of cow and horse. Where you find a horse's skull, it's always with a cow's jaw. Sometimes you find a horse's head with a cow's body. They're mixing and matching the two animals. Obviously both animals are important to them for different reasons.
So incredibly, it looks like our Iron Age ancestors were creating hybrid beasts from the body parts of animals sacrificed to their gods. It sounds unbelievable, but Miles has brought the bones to the studio so we can see the evidence with our own eyes.
Miles, this site just gets more and more interesting, doesn't it? This isn't just rubbish. They're not filling them in with discarded remains of butchered animals.
No, the one thing actually we're not getting in any part of the site is normal rubbish material, not sort of discarded waste. This isn't disordered dumps of material. There is a very specific order going on here. But when we're finding horse and cow, they're cut up. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't be able to cram a whole horse into one of these pits in a complete state, but they're cut up and they're being placed with other body parts. So it's a rather sort of macabre jigsaw puzzle.
And that's what you've got here, is it? That's a cow, I assume, because of the horns, and the horse?
Yes, yes. In fact, one of the storage pits, when we found it, it was actually sort of resting sort of the cow skull on top there. So it's creating this rather bizarre hybrid animal.
Like a chimera, a mixture of different animals.
You could say that, yes, yeah. Yes. It is a direct attempt to create something that doesn't exist in nature, where they are dismantling or dismembering animals and then reassembling them whilst they're still fleshed and bloody.
And there don't seem to be any cut marks on these bones at all. They seem to be pretty intact. I mean, you'd expect to see cut marks here where muscle had been taken away, meat had been taken away from the cheek, and then perhaps cut marks on the inside here where the tongue had been taken out, but we can't see any evidence of that.
No, exactly. In most of them, we're not finding any kind of evidence that meat's been removed or indeed that the bones have been broken up to get at the marrow. And we're getting quite big sections of animal in there all together. So perhaps there is a way of, by reassembling in there, you are creating almost like a deity, or you're creating a deposit that the gods would accept, which would ensure the long-term survival of your community.
By next year, Miles may have even more answers. But for now, it certainly looks like his team have discovered a new Iron Age religious phenomenon that had been entirely forgotten about for over 2,000 years. Our next dig diary features another staggering find, this time an entire city that disappeared for 7 centuries in Monmouthshire in Wales.
10 years ago, an archaeologist developed a hunch that a pretty little village on the Welsh-English border had a forgotten past, that it did in fact lie right at the heart of the English struggle for dominance over the Welsh in the 1200s. One particular field was crucial to his idea, so he gathered up his life savings, bought the field, and started digging. That archaeologist was Stuart Wilson, and this year he's kept us a dig diary.
Today, this sleepy village is home to around 3,000 people. But if Stuart is right, then 800 years ago, this was a very different place. Evidence is being unearthed outside the village in what is now Stuart's very own field. It was here that his hunch came good, when he discovered an entire medieval high street in the middle of nowhere. Could this be the medieval city of Trelech, the centre of power and industry that was lost in the 14th century, and for which archaeologists have been searching for generations?
Well, here we have a series of workshops in medieval times. And what we have down is iron slag floor surface with stone line drains and a nice central fireplace in the middle. So you could have walked up along here with your horse, with your dagger or bits of armour, come in here into a hard working surface where the metalworkers repair whatever you're coming in with, right next to the main road in medieval times.
The remains date back to the 1200s. The sheer scale makes it clear that this was just part of a huge settlement. And as the dig continues, Stuart's team begin to turn up clues as to what made this town grow.
So one of the things that we find consistently in each and every trench that we dig is this stuff. It's iron slag.
These nuggets are the byproducts of smelting iron, and the town produced so much of it, they started using the slag as building material in floors and on their roads. Iron production on this scale indicates that Trelech was a major centre of trade and industry. And Stuart's team has found evidence that this was no ordinary place.
We do have a lot of indications here that the people who lived there were extremely wealthy. And we've got a couple of very nice finds from previous excavations that really show the wealth of these people. The first is probably this medieval flower pot. We could really say it's a unique piece because it's the only medieval flower pot that has ever been found in Wales. Another piece that we have is this one. Most people that see it think it's some sort of a dish that comes out of the kitchen, but actually this will be on top of your roof. This is a medieval finial. So it's a very high quality glaze on there. It's a very, very expensive object. It would have a large ceramic spike on top of it. So if lightning would strike, this would break and your roof would still be intact. Now, showing to the people of your village that you can actually afford to break an object like this really shows great wealth.
For Stuart, the evidence of affluence at the site confirms that he has indeed discovered the lost town of Trelech. This was no small Welsh settlement, but a vast English military supply base. Now, he's also uncovered remarkable evidence that its great wealth could have made it a target for attack by rebel Welsh, who may even have attempted to burn the place down.
The buildings we found were quite interesting because the buildings had actually been burnt down in a very, very severe house fire. We had glass actually formed out of the thatch, which has actually melted in the fire, and we found the mica on the stone had actually melted and glazed on the stone itself. So a very, very severe fire. We think of a great attack on the town in about 1295, 1296 by the Welsh. Yeah, so it looks exactly the same the other side.
Not only is it possible that this English-run town was once burned down by the Welsh, Stuart is also finding compelling clues that the Welsh posed a constant threat.
Well, here we have a massive round tower, which looks like a good fortification to the manor house, but also to the town. Now, it's a really nice stone construction. It's got a single stone wall about 1 metre thick, and then an iron slag core to it, an inner stone wall, and all built up in one nice circle, rising upwards. Now, we think it's defensive because of its sheer size, the way it's been built. It's very well constructed.
In fact, it's not just how this tower was built, but where that indicates its purpose was defence.
If this stood up quite nice and high, it would see across the gardens of the neighbouring burgages, both along this road and along Tinkers Lane, and across the entire common fields.
Stuart is convinced that the round tower's construction shows just how solid Trelech's defences needed to be in order to see off Welsh aggression. But a big question still remains. Why did this 700-year-old town just disappear?
I'm still intrigued by how you actually came across this to begin with, Stuart. Given that other people have been looking for Trelech for a long time, how did you put all the clues together?
You're never going to discover an elephant by looking through a microscope because you're looking too closely at it. You need to stand back. And when you stand back and actually look at the landscape, it's speaking to you.
Now, you've got a map here. Shall we have a look at that? Does that give us any clues?
Yes, it does. These maps are extremely useful.
So when does this date from?
This actual map dates from 1881. And what we have are thin fields here, following the main roads, and more thin fields. And the thin fields carry all the way down to the south, with the large fields behind. Why are these fields like they are? They're all man-made. They must have been here for a reason.
And when you then compare it to medieval towns and say, well, let's take the buildings out, and what do we get? We get this pattern. The thin fields are where the buildings used to be.
Right.
And they then back onto large fields, which are the common fields.
Okay.
Exactly what we've got here.
So the buildings would have essentially lined up in the plots along here, and these lines here form the back of the building.
Exactly, yes.
So you knew from the documentary evidence, for instance, you had an indication of the size of
Yes.
it in terms of numbers of houses?
We knew there were 378 taxable buildings in 1288. Now that is massive. I mean, it's even bigger than Cardiff at the time. So we're talking a really, really big town.
But I can recognise one thing over there, that's iron slag,
Yes.
is it? And that's a product of what made this town so rich?
Oh, yes. Now this, it's iron slag. Now they use this as hard core. And so by recording how much we get off this every so often, we can actually then start recording up how industrialised the town was. But that will take decades of work. At the moment, we've only got a very, very small sample.
Why is it forgotten? Why did it disappear?
Yes, the Welsh rebelled, but basically they had been defeated. So the military reason for it being here has gone. Combined with that, 1314 had to be the first year of 5 very severe weathers in this country, which caused a great famine. That precipitates a big economic depression. That means the civilian market for iron reduces. Then the economy goes, then the population goes, then it gets hit by the second wave of plague. Then you've got civil war at the end of the century. So within a century, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong.
Trelech was left without a purpose. Gradually, the people left, and this great medieval hub withered and died.
So how many more fields are you going to buy then to do it? Where are you looking now?
That one there looks pretty good.
Yeah, I reckon this one here.
If there's one field I would really like, it would be 121, just here. If you ever go up there, you can see where the ground just slopes off, clearly a building just under the ground. And if I was going to build an important building in the town, that's exactly where I would build it. So that's where I would like to dig.
How long are you going to spend excavating medieval Trelech, do you think?
All my life. I was hoping to do my field in 70 years. Now, I've only done 10 years so far, and the 70 years hasn't reduced because it's only increasing. So it'll probably take me another 100 years to do the field. So unless I live for an extremely long period of time, then it's going to take me longer than my lifetime.
Our successors will all be here discussing still medieval Trelech on a dim, distant version of Digging for Britain.
Yes. 32.
Yes.
Next year, Stuart is sure to have even more revelations about life in the lost medieval boomtown of Trelech. This work highlights the real power of archaeology to bring to life stories that are only hinted at in the written record. Archaeology and geology come together to reveal what happened in Britain at the peak of the last ice age. By around 30,000 BC, the advancing ice had driven humans and wildlife out, leaving Britain a deserted, frozen wasteland for 10,000 years. But as the climate warmed, a new wave of humans arrived from continental Europe to recolonise Britain. The first colonisers were Stone Age hunter-gatherers arriving in small bands, following herds of game across the land bridge from the continent. Because the population was small and mobile, it's very rare to find archaeological evidence of them. But a team of archaeologists in Jersey has been making some extraordinary discoveries. In 2011, Digging for Britain was there when a team from the Ice Age Island project discovered signs of significant human activity. Flint tools that suggested a large Stone Age hunting camp was nearby. It's amazing to be finding these little traces of them, isn't it?
It's very exciting just because it is so old, and it's really nice to be the first person for 14,000 years to be touching these tools.
This was a promising start, but the next 4 years proved frustrating. Lots of scattered flint. By 2015, still no direct evidence of a campsite.
We're yet to hit an archaeologically significant sediment.
The Holy Grail would be objects that have remained in situ, undisturbed by the passing millennia. The problem is, the site is on a gentle slope. Over the last 15,000 years, the ground has shifted downhill in a slow-motion landslide. This destructive slide would destroy any precious evidence of a campsite. But finally, halfway through the dig, things start to look more promising.
This flat ground here really provides the last opportunity to find a significant area of in situ or well-preserved archaeology. So we're at the tipping point in the geology as well. So it's a really exciting position to be at.
On day 14, the team makes a significant breakthrough.
But this is a flint over here, and it seems like it. There's two pieces which were originally part of the same core.
If Jeroen's right, and these stick back together, then we're starting to see a part of the site we really haven't seen before, where everything is a lot more intact.
It suggests that this area hasn't been disturbed by the slow landslide, giving the team a fighting chance of finding an actual campsite.
The artefacts aren't all at crazy angles, they're relatively flat and they're relatively larger. That will tell us a hell of a lot more about what the people are doing here, how people are working at the site, and it may be pointing to really good high-resolution archaeology.
That would be good. We found some really fragile pieces of what looked like burnt bone. So it's this particular darker band that seems to be packed full of goodies. It's the first evidence of organics we've had on the site, and it's really quite exciting.
Could this mean that the team has hit the jackpot and that these are the leftovers of an Ice Age barbecue? Nearby, something absolutely extraordinary has turned up, evidence that this is much more than just a temporary camp.
One of the new things about this year is we're getting all of this granite material, big, large blocks of granite. I mean, is this natural or is there any human impact here?
If we look close at this big stone, you can see that actually it's fragmented in several places.
It's actually broken there in situ.
Absolutely, yeah.
The team believes this may have been a man-made paved surface. It's incredible. Nothing like this has ever been found in Britain before. It means that this could have been a semi-permanent settlement, used by some of the first European tribes to colonise Britain after the Ice Age.
Matt, this site just gets more and more exciting, and you've certainly scaled up your excavations this year as well. So rather than stones just moving around and having ended up in those places, you think they're actually lying where they were dropped?
Yeah, the geology is looking different. It's looking as if we've got actually an intact land surface there, and yeah, we're not finding things at crazy angles, higgledy-piggledy, or in these little mud flows. We're finding things in a spread, nice and flat, behaving themselves finally.
And some of the evidence for that is this amazing paving stones or paving slab. I mean, what do you think that's all about?
Okay, what we've got at the moment are big granite slabs, very close together, sometimes tessellating, sometimes lying over each other. We've never found these big blocks before within otherwise very sandy, silty and clayey deposits. So there needs to be an explanation for how they got there. And at the moment, humans bringing them in, placing them there is our best explanation.
So what do you think these stones were used for then? Are they something to stand on, to sit on, or perhaps even to cook on?
I just don't think we can say at the minute. We've only clipped the very edge of the preserved site. These sorts of pavements aren't unknown from other Magdalenian sites across Europe.
Hang on,
so,
when you say Magdalenian, what age are you talking about? What do you mean?
Magdalenian is the term for the stone tool technology, and these are the representatives of the modern humans at the end of the coldest part of the last ice age, who end up moving out all the way across Europe, across into Germany, and ultimately into Britain as well.
So this is a hunter-gatherer camp that you've uncovered?
I think we can be quite confident in that, yeah.
Finally locating this camp is a triumph for the Ice Age Island project. The archaeologists have given us a rare and direct connection back to the first humans who came here after the Ice Age and began to build the Britain we know. The next Dig Diary tells the story of another group of incomers who transformed this island. Warrior invaders who stormed into Britain in the 5th century AD. They were the Anglo-Saxons. They gave us our language, our laws, and the beginnings of our modern culture. But they left us little written record of theirs. Now, one of Britain's greatest treasure hoards could at last shine a light on this race of warriors.
In 2009, the discovery of the Staffordshire Hoard astounded the world.
It's the biggest haul of Anglo-Saxon gold and silver ever found.
It's absolutely astonishing. I never, ever in my career thought I would be holding this kind of treasure. It's just incredible, unbelievable.
The hoard was found near Lichfield, once the heart of the powerful Anglo-Saxon kingdom of Mercia, where it was buried around 675 AD.
Now, 6 years of meticulous conservation and research have revealed a picture of the people who owned these unique weapons, bringing to life a band of elite warriors once thought to be only the stuff of legend. The conservators have sent us their lab diary.
According to the famous Old English poem Beowulf, the Anglo-Saxon invaders were aristocrats adorned with gold. But with no hard evidence, experts assumed this was just legend and that the Anglo-Saxons were simpler warrior farmers. Now, this incredible hoard of silver, gold and garnets could prove the Beowulf legend is at least partly true. But first, they need to clean it.
Today I'm working on an object from the Staffordshire Hoard. This is a hilt collar and it's made from gold and garnets. I'm cleaning the object to remove the soil from all of the cells. I'm using a solvent and that softens the soil. And then I'm using this thorn to pick out the soil once it's softened. The thorn's really good because it's quite soft so it doesn't scratch the surface of the gold.
Now the conservators need to piece together the nearly 4,000 fragments to make complete weapons.
So here I've got a very fragmented hilt guard. It's a very elaborate hilt guard assemblage in the sense that it has a lot of decorative panels and decoration along the side of it. Because it's so fragile in so many parts, I've had to make a custom-made mount which then appropriately allows it to be shown as it should be shown with the panels on the side. So in the future it can be displayed in all its glory.
Restoring this will take thousands of hours. The priceless materials are as incredible as the craftsmanship.
You can see in each of the individual cells is an individually cut garnet that's been cut exactly to fit into these unique cells.
The gold was imported from Europe and the garnets from India. Proof that the Anglo-Saxons created a wealthy, sophisticated British aristocracy that was not just the stuff of legend.
This is a very elaborate piece with very finely crafted decoration, and this particular item would have been a pommel for the top of the end of a sword. It has a piece of every single type of material that you would find in Staffordshire Hoard, and obviously it shows that this person has been of a high ranking to have this as part of his weapon.
Conservation work has already shown that there were over 100 weapons in this hoard, each one owned by an individual aristocratic warrior. We had no idea that this Anglo-Saxon aristocracy was so big or so rich. The final step in the hunt for new information is to create a replica sword.
And here we have it. The replica sword is absolutely beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
This is the long-bladed sword of the period. It's a slashing overarm weapon, quite a clumsy weapon, not for duelling. And it's here with its replica gold mounts at the end, based on examples that we have found in the hoard.
Yeah, so this is the gold work here that we can see kind of replicated here. And the very end, the kind of the pommel, that's what this is based on, isn't it?
That's right. That is a exact copy of that pommel.
Yeah.
Were they ever used in war?
I mean, certainly you can do a lot of damage with a blade like this. Across the hundreds of fittings on these weapons is we are seeing degrees of wear. And where we find the most worn down parts is on the top of the pommel. It's possibly to do with a warrior having his hand rested perhaps on the pommel. But interestingly, in contrast, where we don't find the wear is on the grip. And if these weapons were frequently being drawn and frequently being wielded, we might expect to see much more wear on the grips than we do. Maybe it is a case that these weapons were also to be appreciated at an intimate level in the feasting hall, probably between warriors.
The nature of this hoard and I suppose the very numerous artefacts that are contained within it, as you say, mean that we're having to rethink what we know about the structure of society at the time, because there were many more people, obviously, carrying around this kind of superior weapon than we'd thought in the past.
Yeah, I mean, this changes the whole landscape of looking at the warrior in Anglo-Saxon England. I mean, clearly there were swords of this calibre with this level of decoration in much wider circulation than we appreciated.
So was this Beowulf and his warriors?
The sword that Beowulf the hero uses to actually kill Grendel's mother is actually described as having had a hilt wrapped with gold, potentially with wire ornament. It could well have been a sword very like this.
The Staffordshire Hoard paints a new and vivid picture of the powerful Anglo-Saxon warriors who ruled Britain in the 7th century. But what was their relationship with the Britons they lived alongside? Salisbury Museum holds the remains of the Anglo-Saxon Ford warrior, and I'm getting to see him face to face. Reassessing the objects from his grave in the light of the hoard will fill in more details in this picture of Anglo-Saxon Britain.
Adrian, I can't get over how well preserved absolutely everything is from this grave.
Yes, I mean, this is the burial of the Ford warrior, as we call him, who was found just to the north of Salisbury in the 1960s in an Anglo-Saxon burial mound. And yeah, he's buried with all the trappings of somebody who was clearly going off into the afterlife to fight.
The Ford warrior was buried with a long knife, a scabbard, spearheads, and this, the boss from a huge shield. Typical grave goods for an Anglo-Saxon warrior. But other objects in his grave give a more subtle insight into how these invaders integrated with life in Britain.
We've got this hanging bowl here, which was, when it was discovered, was found to contain crab apples and onions.
Really?
Yes.
So a meal to take to the afterlife.
But these are interesting objects because although what we see here are very typical Anglo-Saxon items, this thing here is a more indigenous, native, British object. So you have here a combination of influences. You've got a predominantly Anglo-Saxon influence, but then also this item here is something that was used by local people as well.
So this is fascinating, isn't it? Because we are moving away from the old simplistic idea of this invasion of Anglo-Saxons coming into Britain and wiping out everybody and replacing them, towards an idea where you have a smaller influx of people, assimilation and cultures blending a lot more.
The Staffordshire Hoard has thrown a new bright light on the Ford warrior. Together, they reveal the true size and wealth of one of Britain's earliest aristocracies. Invading warriors who blended their culture with that of the indigenous Britons, laying a foundation for the language and legal system we use today. These Anglo-Saxons were just one of a wealth of people who came here from Europe and helped to build Britain. Our island story is rich and complex. But from Ice Age caves to Stonehenge, forgotten Iron Age rituals to lost medieval cities, archaeology brings us closer to understanding how our ancestors made us who we are today.